Hi, guys. Welcome back from spring break. So, today's lesson activities are going to be the slideshow presentation. And then at the end, just like all of our lessons, you'll be doing an end of lesson Google form. And then last, you will be doing iReady Path. Now, I want to talk about iReady Path for a second because you're being asked to do 15 minutes each day for a total of 1 hour this week. If you want, you can do your whole entire hour today. If you want to use Wednesday and do your hour, if you want to do 30 minutes today, 30 minutes tomorrow, so you don't have to do it later on in the week, that's fine too. Just know that every Friday at the end of the week, we are looking for you to have a total of 60 minutes completed on your path. All right. So we're going to be moving on from fraction division. Doesn't mean we're done with that for the year, but we're going to take a little break and we're going to switch over to some geometry. So, the math standard that we're going to be looking at is understanding the attributes belonging to a category of two-dimensional figures also belong to all subcategories of that category. Now, I know that that's pretty wordy and very confusing, and we're going to start to unpack what this means through the lessons of this week. Now, before we just jump right into this standard, I do want to take a step back and review angles today. So you can see at the bottom of this slide, it says today's lesson activity will be angles. Now, you studied a lot about angles in fourth grade. So I want you to take a second and think about what you remember about angles. Do you remember the different kinds? Do you remember what makes an angle called something versus something else? So go ahead, push pause on the video, and I want you to reflect back to fourth grade and try and think about everything that you remember about angles. When you're ready, come back and push play on the video. All right, so let's take a look and see if some of the memories that you had were correct. So over here, you can see that this lists our different types of angles. An angle is formed when two rays share a vertex. A vertex is another name for a corner. Angles are measured using degrees, and we are going to be looking at four types of angles. So I want to start off right with this one here. This is a right angle. This is the one that is used the most, that we really use to compare the other angles to. So it says a right angle is any angle with the exact measure of 90 degrees. So we're not going to be using protractors today, which is the tool that you used last year to measure angles. We're really just looking at how we can identify what type they are. And what's nice about a right angle is if you think about it, it really creates a square corner. So, stair steps or anything that is a perfect square. So, even though this is tilted this way, you can see that right here, I could fit a perfect square in there. So then you have acute angles, which is this one here. As you can see, when we're talking about angles, we're talking about this inside portion of how far it's open. And you can see that this is open less than our right angle. So that's why it's called an acute angle. It measures between 0 degrees and 89 degrees. So again, right here it says think acute little angle. So things that are smaller, oftentimes you can maybe think that this is looking like a pizza slice right here. So again, if you use your right angle as your benchmark angle, and then you look at anything that's smaller than that, that would be acute. Now, anything bigger than your right angle would be something like this one here called an obtuse angle. So, like antlers on a moose, big angles. And you can see that an obtuse angle is any angle that measures 91 degrees to 179 degrees, because something special happens when we reach 180, which is this right here. And this is called a straight angle. You can also think of it kind of like a straight line. So it's where those two rays meet and it forms an exact straight line. We're really going to be focusing on these three here, acute, right, and obtuse. So looking over here, once again, I want to show you that These are all right angles, and this symbol here where they put a square right in that vertex shows that it's a right angle. That's a symbol that a lot will come up a lot in your math worksheets or math textbooks. When I'm thinking about right angles, I'm really thinking about the letter L and thinking about it being turned all sorts of different ways. All right, so here you have some real world examples. So you can see here, here's that letter L with the fingers, and here's the letter L with the arms. If you are in a room and you can see your door right now, if you look in the corners right here, they all make that perfect square corner. Your windows, your filing cabinets here. All right, and then here's that pizza slice I was talking about that kind of reminds you of an acute angle, and you can see that right here at the tip. All of these are smaller than a letter L. If I were to draw a right angle here, you can see that this would be smaller than that opening. Let's see. Let me go ahead and do that here. I'll use a capital L and I'll make that a lot larger. And then you guys can see, let me just get the page back to center. You can see that as I move this letter L around, do you see how this pizza slice is smaller than the opening of the letter L? And then down here, these are all obtuse, meaning they are larger. So once again, if I wanted to move this letter L right here, which is making my right angle, you can see that this lounge chair is opening up larger than that. All right, so with your hands here on the spider web, the top of this hanger, and a fan. So I want you to push pause right now on the video and look around the room that you're in. You're going to find that the majority of angles you see are right angles. Can you find two right angles, two acute angles, and two obtuse angles in your room right now? So go ahead and look and then come back after you have found them. All right. So hopefully you were able to identify some different angles around the room. Your next activities are going to be to complete the next two slides in this presentation. When you are done, I need you to make sure that you complete the Google form, and then you also need to submit your slides because I'd like to check over your work. One of the slides, you will be able to delete the boxes in order to see if your answers are correct. The other one is a little bit of a scavenger hunt where you're going to look for the three different types of angles. And again, the last thing you need to do is complete your Google form, and the link is on the last slide, as well as submit this presentation. Don't forget, like I said earlier, you have the option to do 15 minutes of iReady today, tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, or if you would like to combine your 15 minutes, you can do that as well. You just need to make sure that you have 60 minutes of iReady done by the end of the week. I hope you guys have a great first day back, and I'm really excited to hear on your Google form all about your spring break.